With Worlds 2023 bringing us new music, new faces, and a new format, I decided to sit down and rank every single team's jersey for this year, ranging from the not so great all the way to what I consider to be one of the coolest jerseys I've ever seen. And just for context, these rankings will be based off of how they look on their own. It won't be compared to regular season jerseys since not every team can afford to make World specific jerseys. And so, with the obligatory reminder that these are of course just my opinions, and it's chill if you disagree since this is just for fun after all, let's get into what I think are the best Worlds jerseys that this year has to offer. Starting us down in our number 23 slot, we have the jerseys for Detonation Focus Me, or DFM. Of the jerseys this year, most of them look good, or at the very least don't look bad, but I'm really not a fan of this one at all. The jersey comes off as very forgettable and lacks any real defining features other than a zigzag down the side, which itself is a pretty similar color to the rest of the jersey. I will say they do have the J's on though, but other than that, I would be hard pressed to buy this jersey even if I was a fan of the team, because I don't like this one at all basically. Now this next jersey may be a bit of a controversial one since I'm aware that people have been fans of it throughout the year, but coming in at number 22, we have D+ Kia's both regular season and Worlds jersey. Let me explain. I think this jersey really could have been a lot cooler if it had a hint of color to it, but it seems to have been a victim of the team's rebranding from their previous name of Damwon. For me, the fact that the jersey only has white and black colors once again makes for a forgettable design, though the stripe design itself isn't bad. I'm a fan of minimalism, but the lack of color just doesn't make this jersey pop much at all, and so I was admittedly a little bummed when I saw they wouldn't be making a new variant for this year's championships. And staying in the East, next up we have the stylings of Weibo Gaming taking the number 21 spot. And while of course the Shy's gameplay is the undisputed best in the history of gaming, this year's jersey seems a bit more like a billboard as opposed to a jersey. The brand logos feel very sporadically placed with very little rhythm to them, and it disrupts the flowiness of the light gray design featured on the side, which I actually think looks pretty cool. I think the best way I could describe this jersey is that it seems like it was made by different teams of people, each with their own vision. One group wanted the aforementioned flowing design, while another wanted racing stripes, and the other wanted a more heavily branded, more corporate style. All of these designs could work in practice, but the jersey's inability to commit to just one makes it a bit hard for me to digest. And I have some similar notes for our number 20 slot and fellow LPL representative Billy Gaming, or BLG. BLG's jersey does a much better job of having a consistent theme throughout with a gentle red and blue gradient. It's also more committal to a gray artistic design on the back and makes for a cool backing, which a lot of jerseys seem to lack. Despite this praise, its low ranking largely results in my own personal bias of liking more high contrast, dark or black designs, to which this is almost the opposite. I understand the appeal of an airy, lighter feel, however I just don't fall into that audience of preferences, and I also feel like this jersey has a hard time separating itself from the rest of the crowd. In fact, the number 19 jersey of BDS is a slot higher up in my books for this exact reason. Though once again the style is not one that I'm particularly a fan of, the boldness of the text as well as the hexagonal design make it just a cut above BLG's. I also have to give props to their design team for managing to get the logos within a consistent color palette, since sometimes brands can be pretty stingy about those things. And for the team's first appearance at Worlds, this is a solid first jersey and one that well encapsulates BDS's modern style. And on the topic of modernized approaches, coming in at number 18 we have PSG Talon, whose jersey is a clean combination of a classic soccer jersey mixed with an esports jersey. This very straightforward design is one whose simplicity is easily identifiable as one that comes from straight off the pitch, but with smooth gradients in their team's logo, it strikes a nice balance of modern professionalism as well. Especially with the organization's prominent red stripe, this jersey is simple yet pronounced and reiterates the team's successes with deep blues and minimal branding, all to make a nice baseline of what a good jersey looks like. And also arriving from the plans is the Flying Oysters, whose color palette is defining yet not subtractive in this logo-centric jersey. With the primary focus being the team's more standardized logo, the jersey's yellow and white color combination feels much more bound together, which sometimes can be a challenge for said colors. One element that I especially appreciate about this jersey is the subtle wing design that is featured near both the sleeves and the chest, which of course is representative of the flying in the team's name. The logos have evident intentional placement on the team's jersey and do a nice job of not interrupting its professionality or modern approach. And next up for the play-in squad, we have the Team Liquid Slayers with Gigabyte Marines landing in our 16th spot. It's the design on these jerseys that's the main selling point for me, as they're very detailed yet not not distracting. The color palette once again looks very clean and does a nice job of minimizing any potential excess dominance that the yellow coloring may have. With the exception of the evergreen monster logo, the brands match the rest of the jersey and overall make for a sleek yet graphically backed wear for this year's Worlds. And just barely beating them by a hair, we have movie star R7, whose similarly styled jerseys hold a lot of the same features as GAM's. What puts this design just barely a cut above is the more uniform jersey coloring, and I also just like the yellow-orange color a bit better. One thing that I've mentioned previously with other jerseys that applies well to R7s is the fact that for a team who has quite literally a brand in their name, said brand doesn't really distract from the jersey with its presence. It doesn't come off as an eyesore and matches well with the rest of the design, and I also like the detailing of the words written in the dark gray as well. It's a nice, cool, and subtle touch. And I promise this will be the last dark gray with subtle design shirt for a while, with Brazilian representative Loud arriving in 14th. My love for minimalism and the color black are very apparent in this ranking, as I've always been a fan of the bright neon colors that pop from these jerseys. Loud has been known to rock similar jersey styles in the past, but even still, I really like how they're simple yet visually pleasing. And especially being the only representative with a green color palette, the boldness of this year's fit matched with some nice waving lines is incredibly modern even in the world of esports. But now finally moving back to the major regions, in number 13 we've got LNG, whose deep blue jerseys make for a royal fit worthy of dragons. The design on the front is very classical yet modern, and even though I don't love some of the logos messing with the team's color palette, if you didn't expect me to have bias towards deep blues, well, I would be surprised. I'm very glad the team opted for their more color palette appropriate logo to adorn the logo space of the jersey, as I think their regular triangle one would have been a bit jarring to say the least. Not to be outdone, following up LNG, we have fellow LPL representatives with similar fits in JDG. On their quest for the first ever Golden Road, JDG's jersey has a lot of very similar features to the previous one, with subtle designs on another classic yet modern royal blue. Though I wish the red was a bit brighter to really establish more prominence, I understand that it's the same coloring of their regular logo and it doesn't really detract from the jersey as it is. And though they may not gain the top prize now, I've locked them as my world's favorites alike many others, so don't be shocked if this is the jersey being worn by the ones lifting the Summoners Cup this year. Now, though Golden Guardians technically didn't make it to Worlds, they did wear Worlds jerseys during the Worlds qualifying series, so I figured it would be fair to add them to the list, clocking in at 11th place. With a really sick sword design being the focus of the jersey, this graphically carried fit is a strong showing for the organization's first ever Worlds jersey, and it's a shame that it didn't get much time in the spotlight. The jersey only has 2 colors in its primary design, but even still it manages to look clean, and I also really like the area around the collar as well. So at the very least, Golden Guardians could beat BDS at something after all. But now entering the top 10, we have the 5th LCK team of the tournament, Team Liquid, and their fresh white horse detailed jerseys. Though TL's run was one unfortunately cut very short, these jerseys are probably one of the cleanest in the organization's history with its very modern look. The team's logo is of course the design dominating the jersey, but one thing I especially appreciate about this design is that it does a great job of having the players' names not feel awkward like some jerseys do. This bright, futuristic look is very fitting for the team, and just like our previous slot, it's a shame that we won't be seeing this jersey any longer. And following up Team Liquid, we have Gen G with their classic black and gold color scheme with new jerseys in collaboration with the LA streetwear company, The Hundreds. In opting for a more branded appearance, I think this style looks really good, especially for a streetwear specific collaboration. Not to mention the sweet animal gradient that especially dominates the bottom of the jersey, which actually looks so sick. These two elements in combination with each other work surprisingly well together while maintaining the core elements of Gen G's brand, all for one tight, surprisingly forward-thinking jersey. And also rocking a similar style of a golden branded jersey, we have Gen G's fellow LCK team and KT Rolster, whose clean yet industrialized design is a very welcome touch on the team's original jersey. Especially with their golden logo on the back, these fits are established and confident for the team's return to the world stage, utilizing a black and gold color palette, which I'm always a personal fan of. When the team walks on stage together, these jerseys just exude power and had one of the strongest impacts on me when I first saw them. And though I had never even heard of this team before, sliding into our 7th place slot, we have Team Wales, whose jerseys, as the name would imply, make quite a splash. The way that the whale at the bottom is so seamlessly incorporated into the design is immensely visually pleasing and very creative. Once again, we we see nice deep blues make up for the non-white color elements, and I'm also a big fan of the collared area around the neck as well. This whole jersey effortlessly flows together with elements such as the lines on the W and the whale's arc both giving the same sense of upward progression. But in contrast to this flowing natural style, in 6th place we have NRG, who probably represent one of the boldest, blockiest jerseys of the tournament. The design is incredibly upfront, clear, and defined, and all these things I personally have an affinity for. Being worn by the LCS #1 seed, NRG's Worlds jersey commands attention and announces the team's authority while still having subtle hints of golden stripes to break up an otherwise maybe bland jersey. And considering that about 80% of my wardrobe is black graphic tees, it probably shouldn't come as much of a surprise how much I like this jersey too. And now breaking into our top 5, we start off with G2's baseball jerseys, which are probably one of the most creative jerseys in the tournament. Be it the players' different roles on the back, the 0 and 3 pinstripes, or even the fact that it's a unique style of jersey compared to the rest of the others, this jersey stands out and looks good in doing so. Plus, they have Glow Up Hansama rocking this jersey, so who wouldn't want it? Overall, this was a very creative jersey, and as a normie G2 fan who doesn't own a lot of white shirts, well, I had to cop this. But despite the fact that these are G2's rivals, coming in 4th we have Fnatic's Magma Championship jersey, which as someone who loves high contrast and gradients, this is a hard jersey not to like. Especially with the sick branded logo on the backing, this jersey is just overall well assembled and very flashy to say the least. The corporate logos match, the coloring is true to the classic Fnatic orange, and its presence is undeniable on the stage. Plus, it also matches the fire sparking style this Worlds has as well for its theming. And though they may have beaten them in the Swiss stage, Cloud9 places a notch above Fnatic in terms of jersey presence for simply how beautiful it looks. With very traditional designs from the collar down to the clouds along the waist, I would argue that these jerseys are hard to dislike for how calming and presentable they are. Now, as always, coming in 2nd place we have T1, whose jerseys this year just check so many of the boxes of my design preferences. White text on a black border? Check. A classic yet subtle modern design? Check. And a dope gold recoloring? Also check. T1 is a team of historic prestige, and the jersey's boldness as well as its gold absolutely asserts that. This jersey was an instant eye catcher for me amongst the many other jerseys dominated by black coloring, and in terms of T1's wide catalog of jerseys, it stands out there as well. But surprisingly, coming in first, my favorite jersey of this year's Worlds is Mad Lion's pink and lavender floral design fits. I've normally not been a fan of Mad's international jerseys in the past, but man, these ones are just, they're beautiful to look at. The pinks and purples are traditional, unique, and very unexpected for the team's brand, plus the flowery design that covers the front and back has such a beautiful flow. It's a shame that the team made their usual early exit once again this year, as this is one of my favorite Worlds jerseys ever, and I don't anticipate I'm the only one who thinks this jersey is definitely one of the best, if not the very best, of this year's entries. If you enjoyed the content and maybe want to help a small channel out, feel free to subscribe, or even just let me know what your top 5 favorite jerseys are down in the comments below. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to check out this video, and with that being said, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Later!